One. Hello, welcome back to the Left Lane Zoomers. This is not an ordinary episode. We just finished watching the final presidential debate of 2020. We have numerous thoughts about it. So here I have with me the typical regulars, Alex Funk and Malcolm James, and we also have a very special guest, his second time on this show, James Russell, internet comedian from LA. And yeah, so I guess I'll start.
Comedian who can't manage his fucking camera, apparently. All right, sorry.
No, I totally get that. I need to get a better camera, but yeah, I guess I'll start. So overall, like I definitely think Joe Biden won because like I considered the last one a win for him, even though like he was kind of tripping up occasionally. But like I've said over and over again, like kind of like how like with Trump going into the 2016 debates, the bar was set very low for him. People expected him to do bad, whereas like they kind of expected the same for Biden. So as long as they avoided crashing and burning, it would have been considered good for them. So, and especially like, Biden did more than just not crash and burn. Like he actually did well. Like, he was animated. He seemed relatable. I'm surprised they didn't bring up Hunter Biden as much as I thought they would have. But I don't know. But the one thing that Trump kept on like going back to is like, where were you at the last 8 years or like whatever. So that's pretty much my overall thoughts. I think Biden won. Biden did a good job. There were a few things in which he could have done better, and that's mostly just because like those are issues in which I think that he's not really great at. There's plenty of issues I think he's pretty terrible on, but the overall takeaway is that Trump is worse. And as a matter of fact, and I haven't told you this yet, James, but like I voted last week absentee. I just got my ballot in the mail. I sent it back the same day. So
You got your ballot before I did. Shit. Come on,
Yeah.
California. What the fuck, you guys?
yeah.
Trump's rigging your election.
All right.
interference, okay.
All right, who's next? Does someone chime in?
I'll go. I would say I agree with you. I would go even further. I would say that Biden killed it. I would say that this is probably the best case scenario for him. Trump didn't interrupt. He was civil, and he still came off like a whiny little bitch. And Biden was actually he was coherent. He didn't stutter very much. He kind of slipped up maybe like once, maybe 3 or 4 times. I don't know, but
Near the end, yeah.
I think he did a great job. I don't really have any notes for him. I think he's wrong on a few issues, but those aren't notes or anything. That's really all I have to say. I think it was very good.
I mean, yeah, Biden was pretty good tonight, and he hammered in on things like COVID, the economy, and really countered a lot of Trump's talking points, which he does to uproar his base because they think it's unfortunately a fact. So, we'll say Biden did do better. He didn't insult. Trump didn't insult, which I was really surprised about. And I felt like we were in this debate compared to the last presidential debate to get more into issues that really are important in our country right now, rather than political hacks.
Yeah, there was definitely more of like a policy focus. But anyway, James, your thoughts?
Yeah, Biden won, hands down. It was really interesting to see, like the town hall that he had last week was almost a warm up for this, where he gave a chance to really offer policy focused answers. And Trump is just all about flinging as much shit, it's throw the spaghetti on the wall, see which noodle sticks. And that's what he was doing here. And obviously, like Alex said, I have plenty of things where I disagree with him on policy, but at least he could give the answers and justify them. And so much of the things, like Biden really embodied my reactions. So much of the things Trump was saying, I was like, what? The $1 billion trees project. I was like, what the fuck was that? I just hit by a blast of wind.
You're
So-
like, what kind?
Yeah, it was literally like a cartoon. So it was really bizarre. And I was actually surprised that somebody got Trump the memo that was like, listen, you acted like a complete asshole and we need to put you in timeout this time. So maybe act like a, at least semi-normal human being. And even then he couldn't totally do. But he was much more controlled. And I'm not giving him praise because it's like, here's the bar and he kind of like here still. But the fact is he was much more controlled. And I'm amazed that the people around him and him as a person who's such a stable genius isn't like, this is how I need to act more because I actually sound coherent. Whereas in the last debate, it's just like, yabba dabba do, Fred Flintstone, blah, 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 and Joe Biden is trying to get his answer off. So the reason he can't actually act normal is because he's an idiot surrounded by idiots and briefed by idiots. So there's your answer.
And criminals.
But really, if he were to be more like that, he would probably actually win a shitload more. The whole reason he lost the last debate is because he was out of control on Adderall and his narcissism. So that was very surprising, but also muting the mics helped. And I think Biden's strategy of talking to the camera, you saw him do that a lot in the last debate where he really tried to empathy. You could just see the empathy with him and the lack of empathy with Trump. And I think that's going to really connect. And the last thing is that I really saw so many opportunities for Biden to attack more, like so much more, especially if he wants to go after Hunter Biden for this fake news story from the New York Post. It's like, well, Don Jr. committed treason via email. He's like, oh, Russia, you guys want to actually give my father the election? We just have to suck your dick afterwards? I love it. So, but then I think about that and I look at the polls and the after effect. I listen to a lot of women on very professionals on social media within the Democratic Party and national security folks. And they were actually, there was someone who said, I think it was one of the contributors on MSNBC said that women saw Trump act like such a dick in the first debate and wished that Biden had punched back. And the people that wished that were guys. That's what I wished. And the people that wished Biden would talk more to them or apologize more were women. And that's exactly what Biden did in the first debate. And you saw it in the poll swing where he got a huge boost. So I'll be curious to see what happens with that. And I'm curious to see if that happens with this after this debate as well.
Yeah. One thing I did want to talk about, because I mean, even though I didn't see them use it that much, but like the whole muting the mics thing. I mean, obviously, like they said like they introduced it because Trump was just being an interrupting interruptive bitch.
Trump
like,
must interrupt us.
Yeah, but like I have my own problems with it because like they've used that kind of shit in the past. Like I pointed out, like they muted Andrew Yang.
Oh yeah.
In like the past Democratic debates, and like that was the one which she only just got like 1 or 2 statements out total. And so like I'm worried about, and like the same thing, it's kind of like how I feel about like censorship on social media, no matter like who is saying what. It's like I feel like it could always be used, like since it's out there now, it'll always be used to flip back right onto the other side, no matter the merits of what like they're saying.
And it even wasn't used fairly because Trump was like, can I speak 10 seconds, just 10 seconds? And the moderator allowed him the moderator allowed him numerous times to speak and Biden got no response chances.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the thing.
You can't really say that the muting the mic had no impact, but it definitely had. Actually, I'm going to say it had significantly more impact than I thought. But as you mentioned, Trump was still able to just barge through shit because apparently I don't know if the muting the mic rule was even in effect because it didn't seem like it. But it does set a pretty bizarre precedent. And the only thing that I could say to that is that we have to keep in mind how we got here. We got here because Donald Trump is a fucking petulant 12-year-old child who can't keep his mouth shut for other people that are talking. And I would hope that if there's any discussion about using this precedent again, that it's for something like that. Because as you mentioned with Andrew Yang, there's a big difference between 2 people talking on stage and muting the mics and 16 people on a stage muting a mic, right? Big difference there.
Yeah.
I'm going to tell Bernie. Oh shit, I can't do my Bernie anymore. I want to say there's a big difference between 16 people and 2 people on a stage. I've been doing my Trump all night, so now I can't get my Bernie in place. Fuck.
Yeah, I used to have a pretty good Bernie impression.
Nice.
But one thing we touched on before. Oh, sorry.
I just want to jump on and add one thing. I feel like the muting the mics thing should have been, because Trump didn't interrupt Biden very much, but he interrupted the moderator all the time.
Ooh, yeah.
Yeah.
And asked the question.
Good
If I
point.
were the moderator, I would have used the mute button right then when he was trying to interrupt me asking the question. I don't know
And
why he didn't do that.
And to jump on that though, I don't think, if I remember right from what I was reading, the moderator wasn't the one that had the control. It was actually the
Oh, is that true? Oh.
debate. That's what I remember reading initially when they talked about the proposal. It's like you can't give the moderator that power because then the moderator is going to get critiqued on subjectivity. But if you get the debate commissions to have that control where it's just on a timer, like 2 minutes, 2 minutes, 2 minutes, like a chess timer effectively. Maybe that's
Okay.
different. I don't know.
Okay.
Okay, yeah,
I didn't realize
if it
that.
was on a timer, yeah, rather than just saying, okay, you're not gonna talk, beep, and like, yeah, I
Yeah.
definitely see, like, that's definitely a better system. One thing we all touched on right before we started making this video was how much better these debates are and how much, like, the potentiality for actually being substantive these debates have, when there's no audience or little audience. Yes, like, yeah, like, because this drove me fucking nuts all the time. It was like Bernie was guilty of it too. Like it limits it to just trying to be about applause lines. I would say, like, in the primary debates, I'd say Pete Buttigieg was kind of like the worst with that, because yeah, I can't stand Pete Buttigieg anymore. I don't know why I ever liked him.
I never.
I kind of like him ever since he's gone on Fox News, and I liked him in the primary, but I didn't like his policy, and just he's an interesting person to follow. That's for sure.
Yeah. I liked him initially because he was trying to kind of be Bernie-ish, because like he was the one. He said, I will never forget when he said this. He said that Medicare for all and single payer is the compromise position between fully nationalized healthcare system and privatized healthcare system. I'll never forget that. And then he eventually just, I guess, like, realized that Bernie and Warren, Warren, Bernie and Warren for the most part have that laying down on lock.
Mm-hmm.
So he figured, like, that really just exposed Pete Buttigieg to be an opportunist, because then he became the most anti-Medicare for all candidate in that race. And it was very interesting and kind of sad to watch, because, like, I did like Pete Buttigieg a lot early on, and then I really started to really decrease in my liking of him. It's like, am I changing, or is he changing? And it's just so, like, and like, in fact, like the primary did unfold in, like, probably, like, for the most part, like, over the timeline in which I had, like, my own big political revolution, where I was more like, I was the kind of liberal who would, who was, like, oh, I really like Bernie. I agree with a lot of what he says. I just don't think that shit is viable, to the point where it's just like, yes, this is how you fucking win. Like I've become more like hardline progressive over the last year. And to the point where I'm quite further left than Bernie at this point. But
Well, I'm way further left than Bernie.
yeah, you've described yourself as an anarchist, Alex. Like,
well, on the international stage, I mean, Bernie Sanders is almost directly in the center. I mean,
yeah,
America's so far to the right.
yeah.
I don't know. I don't have anything else to say.
But yeah, yeah. I don't think any of us really have any much more to say. Does anyone have any last minute thoughts they wanted to get out there about the debate?
I hope Trump loses. That's all I gotta say.
I think we all do.
I think he's gonna lose unless there's some voter fraud on his end that Biden's probably gonna win. I think so.
Well, be aware for the actual election day, because everything that I'm reading from the national security folks that I follow is that we will probably not know, like midnight November 3rd is going to come around and Trump is going to claim victory. This is the worst case scenario when we don't have the results in. And then you're going to have all his people out in the streets.
Votes,
you're going to have all his people out in the streets, and then things are going to change as we go on, and they're going to claim fraud. They're going to claim this. They're going to claim that. So be very wary that November 3rd, we'll probably not have the election results, and we need to be prepared for the aftermath, and we need to be prepared to get into the streets, because they fucking will.
Yeah, and I heard earlier, because I'm being a poll worker on November 3rd.
Oh, good for you, man.
Like some Trump members, basically terrorists, are planning to like terrorize voters, like to get them not to vote.
They've already done that. There was an article today. Yeah, there was an article today where a armed private security force openly advocating for Trump was at a poll location. I can't remember where, and they were hired by the Trump campaign specifically. I mean, they won't say it, but I mean, come on, like people with guns outside of a polling location wearing
Yeah.
Trump propaganda. Yeah, I'm sure you were just passing by.
And Trump
Yeah.
said in the last debate, go to the polls. I'm encouraging you to go and make sure
That too.
like, nothing fishy's happening. There was another case where a poll worker, I can't remember where, was fired for turning away people wearing Black Lives Matter T-shirts.
Which is
Yeah.
they shouldn't have been fired
Yeah.
because you're not supposed to. That yeah, that's
That
a
kind of
mistake.
thing is like an actual rule where you can't wear like political shit into the polling places. Like I just like midterm 2018, I wasn't able to vote then, but I always go with my parents when they vote, because like I like witnessing that kind of thing. Like
Yeah.
like in all honesty, like I had just finished canvassing for Leslie Coburn, who was running in our district. And I still had the t-shirt on, but like I had a jacket on, so I had to cover that up. Like I had to cover it up.
Yeah, well, I remember in 2016, I was in Nevada. I was campaigning for Hillary. Oh, hi. My dog just comes in. Oh, you still got your harness on. I'm sorry, buddy. I'm gonna take that off. Come here. So I remember with my union, we were campaigning out there, and we had a Defeat Trump shirt on, and we were driving people to the polls on election day. And of course, you can't have that, so we would actually have to put shirts on over it. And that is a good rule, because you don't want to have openly partisan things for the reason of voter
Yeah.
intimidation.
But they have like campaign like tents like outside of the polling place, or at least outside like my precinct, like all the fucking time.
Oh, I didn't see that. I don't know what the.
Yeah.
I would say
if
that
it's-
Black Lives Matter is not. I would say that a Black
Yeah,
Lives Matter T-shirt.
I think it. Yeah,
I mean,
the
yeah,
rule,
I hear you.
I mean, the
Yeah.
rule more so applies to poll workers and those who are like driving poll workers and helping get people to the polls, not necessarily the voters themselves. Because I have to do that. I can't wear anything political or
Right, and
anything partisan.
and I hear you. And Black Lives Matter gear should not be a political statement yet, because America, in this beautiful fucked up republic that we have, somehow it is. But I honestly think that poll worker that got fired, that was a mistake, because she was doing what she should have done.
I think that's fair.
Yeah.
But
Bye, buddy. I'll see you later. He wants food, I think.
I'm trying to.
Immediately, like 10 or
find-
20 more views because that dog was in it.
I should have just had him on my lap here.
Yeah,
I have a Beetlejuice
Having the-
costume. I should have put him in that.
having the title featuring cute dog, it'll help the algorithm.
Yeah.
All right, he's back. Hi,
Yeah.
dude. Yeah, he wants food.
Fantastic.
I'm gonna have to take off in a sec. I get it. I know.
Well, yeah, I think we can wrap it up about here. Just anyone who's watching this, the 8 of you
Oops, I'm sorry.
at most, the 8 of you who are watching at most, make sure you go out and vote. I already did. Alex, you still need to.
I'm going to tomorrow, maybe. We'll see.
You can actually vote in person because you're actually registered to vote where you're going to college. But
Are the views going up?
yeah, views are going up as we speak. I'm gonna make sure this is in the thumbnail.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Who's
But
that? Did you see that? Who's that?
yeah, I always love talking to my dog over Zoom when I Zoom with my parents. But
Right.
yeah, he always gets so anxious. He always just sniffs the air to see if he can find me, like when I talk to him.
Oh, he's whining right now. He's doing exactly what your dog is talking about. Did you see that? Who's that?
But yeah, we should probably wrap it up. Yeah, thank you for watching. Thank you, James, for
Thank you.
gracing us with your presence tonight, or still day where you are, I'm assuming. But yeah, thanks for watching. We hope to see you in the regular episode,
Totes.
which we're recording on Saturday.
Cool. I'm down.